Hey guys, Thomas the Slow Genie here, aka Mustached, here to review the movie Plane. If you end up liking this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. The first will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers, the second and third to my Patreon and PayPal where you can help support me and the channel, and fourth to my Discord server. And shilling will be reminded at the end of the review, and with all that out of the way, let's get into the movie of Plane. Now, in terms of setup to this, I did not see any trailers whatsoever, so I went in blind to this one. And with that, let's get into the plot and reviewing it as objectively as possible. So the movie focuses on our main pilot here, played by Gerald Butler, as he is pretty late for his gig as a plane host, pilot, and he has a co-pilot who is from Hong Kong as his buddy, and he is, doing his checks, brought in by Bonnie to show him that they're bringing a criminal on board to this particular plane. And with that, they continue their prep as we start to see some of the passengers board the plane. One note in particular, I noticed these two young women sitting next to, right in front of the prisoner guy and trying to take a selfie, and the guy's like, no, don't do that, getting angry. Meanwhile, we cut to the front of the ship where the captain and co-pilot are talking about each of their families and how the captain brings up how he lost his wife, but he's alright. He's doing alright. Probably had some time to weather that personal storm. But speaking of storms, they head into a literal storm. Despite being told that this particular storm was past, they ended up flying straight into it. So as the storm is worsening, the captain checks in with the passengers, and when he tries to head back, he notices with the co-pilot that all the electrics are off, meaning that everything left is on manual. They have to do everything manually from this point onward. All the while everyone's getting all hectic from the storm, one person puts their stupid on while their phone is, I don't even know how it falls out of their person, but it does, and then they unbuckle their seatbelts and try to go for their phone while the plane's already, getting all wobbly and stuff, and the guy ends up dying just trying to get his phone. So, stupidity, I just go, well, that was something, I guess. All the while they're on their manuals, we see that our prisoner guy is taking note of certain things, like where the keys are to unlock himself, and trying to figure out what he can do. But meanwhile, back on New York, we follow this crew that are a part of helping them. They note that the flight has been lost, Flight 119, and we have some conflicting opinions about the importance of getting them back, as it were. All the while, we cut back to our team, our pilot team, who has crash landed on this island, and the captain persuades the crew, the people there, to calm down, to assess, just take stock of what you have, all that stuff. And we also see that the New York crew is trying to already figure out a way to cover themselves in case it's the worst of worst situations. Like, we're trying our best, doing the whole, like, spiel of what you hear on the news and stuff. They're already getting on that subject. All the while, they check on the plane, the below part of it, and see that, again, the electronics even down there are also pretty bad. So the captain checks on the body that was left behind and makes sure to take care of that situation back there. All the while, we see this other man start recording on his phone to say, like, hey, we're lost and all that stuff. And so the captain takes the prisoner with him to follow to the tower. All the while, we cut to our bad guys, the natives here, who we learn throughout our least, like, they essentially rule this land with an iron fist, essentially. And once they learn that the plane has landed there, the captain here, the bad guy, the main bad guy, wants to find the plane. Meanwhile, our captain loses his criminal in the process, at least for a short while. And as we learn, our criminal is a part of this, like, secret organization, I guess. Yes, where the movie gets a little bit weird. I'm not sure how that all ties together, but point being is that while that's happening, the captain is trying to call for help. He manages to find a phone, but he has no badge on him, so he's unable to verify his validity as the captain, unfortunately, so it ends up not going that well. But during his phone call, he gets attacked, and he wins through this prolonged battle with a reverse chokehold of sorts, I think, is what it is. Meanwhile, after this fight, we see the criminal has returned to the captain. We see that he is taking stock of and taking care of his own problems here as well, and he seems to be on board with helping our pilot here from this point moving forward. So, the group back at the plane record their threat imminently as the natives here proceed to find our inbound people and shoot in the air, threatening to kill them, and in fact kill 2 people in the process, while just as the captain and Marine prisoner guy returned, so they both witnessed this as well. And so we see what the natives are doing. They're trying to parse out information from these travelers. All the while, the captain sneaks aboard the plane, and after they're done, like, moving the travelers here, he writes on the plane on his other shirt to, like, this is, like, turned into a hostage situation, essentially. And we see that the New York team wants to send in this Marine team that they can parachute in because they learn of the gang's activity and how to deal with that specifically. And again, we see that the gang is taking out like 4 of them at a time and gathering their info, the travelers. And we see that the Marine unit is finding out about their hostage situation from the shirt. All the while, our captain and military guy, prisoner, start taking out some people silently, like 2 at this point in the film. And they sneak up to the travelers who have been imprisoned for a bit and free them. The captain sees with the Marine guy's help that if they travel the road, that they will be stopped, so the captain proceeds to give himself up. And they beat him up a bit. And this is where he meets the main bad guy. Just as things are looking grim for the captain, the good squad of gunners, military guys, move in. And the bad leader wants everyone on the island on this to, like, stop them, essentially. All the while, we see that the daughter of our main character, the captain, starts to record herself, trying to tell her, if you find this, sorry for whatever. And then we proceed where the bad guys start moving in on the plane, while the passengers start to return to the plane, and the military guys are trying to hold the line. As all while this is going on. So, we see that when they're in there, we see some defensive maneuvers from our good guys. We see the bad guys try to use rocket launchers and of that sort, and them being dealt with. And eventually the pilot is able to return as well. He does get a little bit injured in the process of making his way back to the plane, but he gets on and boards it with everyone else, and they proceed to essentially leave. I think the only person who stays behind is the ex-military guy who leaves with like a large amount of money and then just leaves. However, due to their impending getting shot at and general problems, they have to force land on another island that's pretty close by but has a tower and probably ways of like repairing their situation. And yeah, that is where the movie ends, where they land the plane and successfully, get all the people out, and we just see the pilot relieved as he's finally able to, at a delayed time, potentially see his daughter. And that was the movie Plane. Obviously, this isn't the most ridiculous movie I've seen with a plane. Snakes on a plane, obviously. I forget this other movie with a plane where, I forget how it transpires where the plane is upside down for a while. I'm trying to remember. I know there's a movie where the pilot does that, where it's upside down for whatever reason. So yeah, obviously not the most crazy movie with the plane. It's a little bit all over the place in terms of there's just a military group that we're just gonna send in now. It's like, oh, okay, I guess so. And yeah, I don't feel like we learned too much about the travelers in this regard. I mean, the movie is more focused on the pilot and ex-military guy. They're primarily the focus, and obviously the pilot is more so in that regard. So quite a vast crew to deal with, so I wasn't expecting, as the movie was expanding its characters, I was like, well, okay, it's pretty obvious that time dedicated to learning who these characters are isn't this movie's goal at all, which is something I obviously focus on, is characters and plot and story and stuff of that nature. So it is with dismay that I say that I think this movie is a bit on the weaker side. I'd probably lean it at a 5 or a 6 out of 10 if I were to place a score, as objective score as I possibly could, considering. Again, that doesn't deal with how much they are able to tell us about these characters, their it's left to a pretty basic summarization, and then we're on to the action, essentially, is sort of this movie's focus. And I do think that when you have a movie like this, uh, and what I would say about any more even action-oriented fighting movie, for example, I would still make the same exact claim that you can make your characters really, really strong. Fighting just doesn't have to be fighting. You can make your characters really, really interesting. And in regards to that specifically, when you do that, it makes it even more interesting in regards to how the people viewing it will see your movie. Uh, it will make it, by extension, actually harder for people to choose, like, which fighter they're rooting for if, like, all the characters are so well written, and which ones they're, not rooting for in terms of, like, the complete opposite. Like, the bad guy in this movie, he's, again, just some terrorist guy, as far as I can tell, that owns the land. I think that's his whole thing. I think. That's about it. And all the other people that he's with, surrounds himself with, they're all generic. I think one of them's his son or cousin or family member, question mark, I think. But yeah, generally speaking, not so much on that side. Very little on the side of, again, really basic information for our main characters, even in that regard. So either way you flip it, you're not getting the strongest character work here. And again, I think that can only make any piece of work, no matter what genre you're looking at, it's always going to make your movie better. Regardless of, again, what genre you're thinking of, it's always going to make your work better. So, that's my advice for the writers out there of the world hoping to make better movies, stronger movies. Get your 7 out of 10s to 8s to 9s and 10s. Get that objectivity to be like rock solid, So yeah, that is my full review of Plane. If you end up enjoying it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition, second third to my Patreon and PayPal, and fourth to my Discord server. Any and all donations, once again, are greatly appreciated, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.